Hey, hey, hey. It's time for common law wise words again. Anyways, tonight we're going to talk about something that's been going on. We got Alan on the call and Monarch. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute Monarch and Alan. How's it going, Alan?
Good, you?
I'm doing pretty good. Still a little tired from this past week.
It's been a long week so far.
It's been a good week. Has its ups and downs, its laughs and cries.
Yeah.
Yo, yo.
Yo, yo.
Check, check.
What's up?
How'd I sound?
You sound good.
All right, excellent. How you doing, Alan?
Good, you?
Not too bad. Probably not as good as you, presumably, are doing.
Well, I'm at work in the rain.
Ah. So would you say you're doing 5x5?
Yeah.
Okay. I was faking it till I made it there. I've heard that before, but I don't know exactly what it means.
Well, hi, everybody. Happy
good.
Wednesday.
Hey, Johnny.
Hey. Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
And
Hi,
how are
Jason.
you, Oracle?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing good. Thank you. It's good to feel better. It's
Good.
kind of good that we got up and got out, and you'll get to hear the story of from Alan tonight. So we've had a few exciting days, and I'm certainly sure it's more exciting for Alan than any of us when you're involved the way that he is. So, yeah, but I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it.
Of course.
How you doing, JC?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Like I was telling Alan, I'm a little tired. It's been a long week.
It has been. And
He sounds around 4x4.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
3x3.
How's the smoke your way over there, Monarch? Has it gotten any better?
Last few days it's been probably better than the norm, I guess. But every time I say that, like within 12 hours, I can't see more than like a mile away.
Oh boy. Okay. So
Too
let's
bad
hope
you
it
guys
gets
can't have some of this
getting clear.
rain.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny, we will, but at the worst timing, it'll be all together. And once all the brush is dead and burnt away, so all the mud can then slide.
But,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, it's pretty rough out there. It must be hard on the lungs.
Yeah, I keep them well tasked with the finest tobacco that I can cheaply buy.
Oh. Looks like we got Mana Civics on. Hello. I can't see who else the participants on because with Talkshoe here, it limits us. By the way, Monarch, I really like what you've been posting. The little mini videos. I like the way you took your Monarch logo and greenicized it. It's greener than ever.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's become a little passion and pet project of mine, I guess you could say.
Mhm. It's very creative.
He's
Yep.
just trying to get out the good word.
That's right.
Yep.
And it keeps getting gooder. That's not in Webster's, but
So Alan, how did you come to find yourself in the circus and charades that a lot of people call court?
To a divorce. That is drug on.
Yeah. That will usually go there.
Especially when you have unethical, vindictive attorney, and then your attorney is her friend.
So what happened with the attorney? I guess you went and got an attorney whenever somebody filed for divorce.
Yeah, I went and spoke to an attorney and told him it was coming, And then when it happened, I put him on retainer. And he actually passed me off to, he was a young, new attorney that had just started practicing at his firm. And then after she actually quit representing me, we found out that that her and my ex's attorney went to college together at the same school, and then they interned at the same law office. But she actually quit. I didn't fire her. I fired the one that I actually hired to begin with that had pushed me off on her. He took back over when she quit.
So how long did you
the law
actually have
firm.
attorneys?
Probably close to 2.5 years. Got me in even worse shape than I was before.
Yeah, and took a bunch of money
Yep.
for it?
A lot of money. Yeah, lots of money, and actually made things worse than they were before I even hired the attorney.
Mhm.
So what happened like before the divorce papers got filed? Because that'll probably be pretty important. After y'all were separated.
Well, we tried to, work it out for a year. We did counseling there for a little while, and then while we were doing counseling and trying to be nice and trying to, work our marriage out, close to the end of the year, the time frame, the 12-month period, we decided to do a separation agreement because it didn't look like it was going to, the issues were going to be resolved or anything like that. So we decided together to do a separation agreement just to kind of put things in place because at the time it was her idea to be civil and amicable and all of that for the kids' sake, and we worked on one for a while and actually come up with something that we agreed on and put it in a template. And had it filed. Several months later, we waited a little bit longer past the 12-month period to see if anything was going to change, and then it never did. So several months later, went and had it filed at the county registrar's office.
So that's kind of like a
County
private
recorder's office.
Contract between a man and a woman, huh?
Yes.
And just for everybody who's listening now and who may listen later, if you're gonna get divorced, unless it's really, really nasty and it's highly actionable, I would really suggest that people just kind of try to not feed the system, not throw all of their money out the window, and sit down and try and work it out with the other side. Come up with some sort of private contract that everybody can agree upon. And the template that y'all got, I mean, it was pretty good. It took care of all of the assets, the parenting time, holidays, everything of that nature, right? Like, what were all the details that went into?
I don't remember offhand exactly what was already in the template, but there was a place, to add miscellaneous information that you wish to have in it. But you're right, it covered the custody time, vacations, medical. It had a place for property division. We actually put in several other aspects as far as medical, extracurricular activities for school, any kind of money that needed to be split for any kind of extracurricular activities at school. We tried to come up with the whole thing that would cover the kids basically until they were 18. Any kind of like vision or any specialty stuff, anything like that.
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised when I was going through my divorce of how much stuff it went into, like, coming up with a kind of the final agreement, how many details it went into. And, when I first went into the attorney's office and they're handing you all the papers that you got to fill out, you got to talk about, what type of silverware you own, what type of dishes you have, just anything that's worth any type of value.
Well, it took me weeks when I filled out the equitable distribution stuff in my attorney's office. It took weeks because all I'd done was I would go to stores and shop without buying anything and just write it down. Because at the time, we had just moved into our new house and we pretty much bought all new everything when we moved in, like 7 months prior to her leaving. So I just basically went, shopped, and wrote everything down, and it took a while. But
Yeah,
as far as
and
the
y'all have-
separation agreement, it's hard to there's a lot of stuff that goes into planning for. Our daughter was 6 months old, and it took a lot of effort planning for the next 18 years.
Yeah, when you have offspring, that definitely really complicates a divorce. I mean, I think a divorce would be pretty easy with no offspring involved, because you just kind of get to divide everything up and go your separate ways.
So I think what you said was 7 months after you had a new home is when you started working on the separation agreement, or that's when she actually left? 7 months.
That's when
after.
she told me she was leaving.
7 months after. And then how much time passed after that when you both worked together? Tried to, amicably work on a separation agreement.
It was right around a year.
A year after that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then that was her idea to say, let's kind of work this out in a way that could be civil and polite and whatever.
Yeah, that was all on her.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, that was her idea. I had a feeling from the get-go it was going to be just a typical nasty divorce, and it was her, pushing to be civil and amicable and not drag it out like that, and not put the kids through all this crap.
Yeah. Okay. So after you worked on that agreement, did that work? The one that you were working on together. You were working on that together without attorneys?
Yes. I talked to an attorney like 4 months before. I told her that I was going to go see an attorney, and then if we decided to go that route, just get some bullet points on what needed to be in it. He had, full knowledge.
So you're saying that you went to go see an attorney about creating the separation agreement?
Yeah, what needed to go into it.
Sorry, I was just curious. Would you say the process got worse? Temperamental-wise, once you hired an attorney, or would you say it got much worse?
Well, it wasn't. The reason I hired an attorney was because she finally filed the divorce papers, and it wasn't. And then, when I actually hired the attorney and started taking him everything that I had, his whole attitude was, "Oh, you have a separation agreement. This is a private contract. This is going to work good. This is, slam dunk." And we went through the divorce papers, and they were asking for everything. They wanted everything. And he's like, "No, we're going to mop the floor with them. This is going to be cut and dry." I was real optimistic at the get-go, and then my ex, about the time she hooked up with a new guy, it was her attitude flipped and did a 180, and it was, by God, I want everything you got, pretty much. He wanted to take the kids, take more of my time away with me, or with the kids away from me, where she could hook me for child support. She wanted alimony. She wanted 50% of everything I had, 80% of my business income, and that's when it went to pretty bad.
I'm curious too. Now, is that a no fault divorce state, and is that relevant at all?
I don't know. I know when I started working with Jonathan, the divorce papers that they had sent. How did you put it, John?
They filed a complaint, and it was really a petition. And Monarch, just to answer your question, I believe that all 50 states at this point have a no-fault divorce. When you have a no-fault divorce, kind of like in North Carolina, you typically have to wait a year before they can actually get divorced. So, and right about a year is when they wrote out the separation agreement and signed executed the common law contract between a man and a woman. And then a couple months after that, Alan went down and filed it at the county recorder's office.
Okay. Yeah. So, that private contract between a man and a woman, if done as thoroughly as it sounds and everything, if both parties were to be reasonably honorable and, you know, sticking to it, I guess you could say, that kind of in a big way nullifies just about any state involvement, right?
Good.
Yeah, right. In theory, I guess.
Well, and yeah, and you got to think about it. It's like, what is the state's involvement? Well, the state's involvement is basically to get involved where there's some type of controversy. So with divorces, they get involved where, you know, every divorce is going to be controversial between the parties. So they get involved and they have all of these rules and statutes and regulations that they got to go by, because they believe that a family can be administrated kind of like China does. And when you go and you write a private contract, because the government here in the United States can't interfere with private contracts, it kind of says, hey, there's not really that much of a conflict. I mean, there's not enough of a conflict. There's so little conflict that we could actually sit down with each other, talk about it, negotiate terms, put it down on a piece of paper, and we both agreed to it, right? That pretty much means that there's not enough conflict to go to court over.
Yeah, I guess what, you know, would be a natural curiosity is if both parties were completely honorable and keeping their word and all these things, what would be the extent of state involvement, do you think? I mean, because obviously they were at some point in time contracted through the legal act of marriage, right?
Yeah, so, you know, and that's a good question, because at that point, the state involvement is basically they're there to give a statutory divorce, right? I mean, you have the marriage contract, and that's with the state, and the state has it on their record. And of course, you got to kind of go and correct that. And the only entity that can grant that document doesn't exist anymore, or is nullified, is the state, because it's their document.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
So, and Alan, you were talking about like she left about 7 months after y'all moved into your new place. And, you know, since nobody probably knows what's going on there, what was going on with the new place? Like, where were y'all living? How did you come in possession of that? You know, a little bit of background here, because it'll be important for what we're going to talk about later.
Well, the house, when we started house shopping, I had found a house that we liked, because we were looking at, I wanted acreage, and I found a place that had 20 acres, and I found a house to go on it to stay in our budget. But when we started house shopping again, she found the house that I have now, and she wanted it, and it was as much as the house and the land that we were looking at before. So I give her the option. We can have the big house and put it on family land, or we can have the smaller house and put it on our own 20 acres. And she just had to have that house. So my parents had 2 acres that my grandparents had gave them, and my parents actually gave us an acre of their 2 acres. They were going to split it between me and my brother. And so they went ahead and deeded me my acre, and then my aunt and uncle had a 2-acre plot beside it, and the way everything sat on the land, they actually deeded me a small portion of their 2 acres to make mine all work out.
So, and because it was family land, and there's only one right of way to it, correct? And that's owned by the family.
Correct.
So, and for anybody who doesn't know, right of way is basically road access. You can't have a landlocked property. You can't sell a landlocked property. You have to have some type of right of way, some type of road access going to where whoever buys that property can actually get out and join the public and, you know, get out into the greater society. So this is family land, family property. Everybody who owns land around it, it's sitting in the back of about 60 acres that his grandparents own, I believe. And so because it was family property and y'all weren't ever going to sell it, stays in the family, did you have her go and sign a post-nup so that if y'all ever did get divorced, then the property and the house would stay within the family?
Well, I didn't make her, but yes, she went with me. and we had went and executed a post-nuptial agreement just covering the house and the land. There was nothing else in it.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I said make. I thought I said have or go sign. My bad. That might have been a slip up on my point. So,
Yeah.
and that was also put into the separation agreement, right?
Yes, I went ahead and we added it to the separation agreement also.
Now she's coming after you for divorce. You got these two contracts in place. One was written up by an attorney. The other one y'all negotiated and kind of worked out on your own. And Sarah, you wrote down easement here. A right of way is a little different from an easement. Typically, an easement is like a between properties and how much you have kind of as leeway. It's a little bit different than a right of way, but they do sometimes call a right of way an easement. So y'all got these things in place going through. Now she's filed an action against you. You get an attorney and the fight's on. Did she ever call DSS on you?
She called DSS on me after someone else called DSS on her, and it's been a snowball effect ever since. I've never called DSS on her. She has called DSS on me 4 times.
So, and just so everybody knows, like this is typically kind of a strategy that the family court system uses and attorneys in the family court system use, especially when parties are really kind of going at each other, is they'll start having the party call DSS on the other party for made up allegations or just minor incidences in which to get the DSS to come in, kind of cause problems, and maybe something will materialize out of it and help the case.
The last 3 times that DSS has been to my house was right before court date.
Also,
DSS
often
is
referred to as
also-
the nuclear option.
It's also Child Protective Services. It depends on what state you're in.
Yeah.
What was that, Monarch?
I was going to say it's also often referred to as the nuclear option, I believe, in family court. That's attorney talk that they like to use.
So, well, I mean, since we've already kind of talked about, there's not really a whole lot for attorneys to do because y'all basically worked out everything beforehand. So kind of like I said, the attorneys would only be there to have the state finalize the divorce, which y'all could have pretty easily done on yourself. So you already said that she was coming at you for custody, alimony, child support. She wished to have so much of your business. How's she going to do that with the 2 contracts that y'all have in place?
Mm-hmm.
So when I had an attorney, I was consenting to everything because I didn't know any better. And her attorney is very, very, I don't know what the word would be for it.
Vexatious?
Yeah. And extremely aggravating. But,
I don't even know if she would disagree with that.
and now that I know better, there's really nothing for the state to interfere with. We basically covered everything.
That's for sure. But I mean, again, it's like, how are they going to come and get those things out of the way so that they can actually attack you for the custody, child support, property, assets, all of that other good stuff?
They made a motion to set aside the separation agreement, which is the private contract, and the post-nuptial agreement.
So you're telling me that in this administrative family circus and charade, they were just asking the court to just disregard those contracts altogether, like they're not contracts?
Throw them away. Yep. Yeah, they wished for them to throw them away.
And what did your attorney say about this? I'm sure they had something good. I'm sure your attorney knew the law and was like, well, they can't do that. These are private contracts.
At the time, the attorney I had, she was not much of an attorney at all. And I even brought that up at the hearing before this past one. She really didn't have a whole lot to say about it. She would just go to court and when we would get there and the other party's attorney would call for a continuance or a postponement, she would just agree with it and go on. This actually started early 2020, and we didn't have our actual first hearing until December of 2020. It was
Well, I mean, you do
postponed
have to.
all through the year.
Well, you do have to take into account the whole COVID attack that happened at the beginning of 2020. I mean, I could imagine. I mean, I know that right around April of 2020, it's like donations just plummeted. Nobody was really going to court. I wasn't really having people calling me and asking me for advice in private. Alice, I see your hand up, and we'll take questions after we've kind of talked about the situation that's been going on, man. We'll get to you. Anyways, so I could imagine how much time it took just to get something before the court, just to have it heard, have something go on. But you said that y'all had a hearing back in December, and was that hearing to set aside the contracts?
Yes, we actually got started with it and then ran out of time for the day.
And then you kept paying the attorney, and was that settled by the time we met, like the actual contract thing?
Oh no.
Y'all never went back?
No, we hadn't actually been back again yet. And in the whole period of time, they postponed us. Even with COVID, they postponed us about 11 or 12 times. We actually had court dates.
So
and it was postponed or continued.
Y'all started the hearing in December, and we met probably around July. I mean, I know that you were there when we went to North Carolina for Valerie O, and you went down to the courthouse with us. And that was the first time that we met, right?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So from December to July, y'all had already started the hearing. You'd already started kind of the trial to set these contracts aside and just not look at them, not do anything with them. And that wasn't done yet?
No. We didn't actually go back to court to restart in front of a judicial officer until the 7th of last month.
So, and by that point, we were already working together, right?
And that's why it's moved forward. It's not just been paused.
Can you explain that a little bit more? What do you mean it's moved forward since JC's gotten involved?
Well, 2.5 years, boatload of money, and nothing really ever got done other than the temporary custody order, which for the most part wasn't being followed by her. The temporary consent order that barred my mother from seeing the children got put in place. And then once John started helping me, the first time we went back to court, the judge declared a mistrial because of the way I was speaking and conducting myself at court. And it's been a month and a half, and we finally had a full hearing and are awaiting a verdict. So in less than 2 months,
there's been a lot of movement.
Way more done.
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.